A popular topic popped up on the timeline the other day, and I thought about it in One Piece terms, and I felt like this would be interesting to talk about. What this topic was, well, the Mount Rushmore of anime. Now, when we think of Mount Rushmore, we just think of the top four things, the top four people that we would put atop of anything: media, sports, anime, history, and so you just think of the top four. In this instance, there is something that's quite unique, because there's a meaning behind Mount Rushmore. And if you don't know what Mount Rushmore is, click the sub button because you're gonna find out a bit more about Mount Rushmore today. Drop a like as well, I would certainly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's talk about the Mount Rushmore of One Piece. But first, Mount Rushmore is a memorial to commemorate the founding, expansion, preservation, and unification of the United States with the statues of Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt, former presidents of the United States. So again, when people think of Mount Rushmore, they think of the top four, just top four regardless. But for Mount Rushmore, there are certain things that it represents. Like I said, founding, expansion, preservation, and unification. So what we're going to do here today is that we're going to figure out the Mount Rushmore of One Piece, but we're going to do it in two separate ways. First, we're going to use what Mount Rushmore actually means. So we're going to find a character that represents each of these: founding, expansion, preservation, and unification. Then we're going to have a Mount Rushmore for just the top four characters in One Piece. And when I say characters, I mean just overall, right? And I thought that would be really fun to just try to figure out who these characters should be. So first, finding out who these characters are based on founding, expansion, preservation, and unification. So first, founding. When I think of founding for One Piece, I think of discovery, people who found things, people who traveled and traversed everywhere. I think of the ancient history. In the ancient history, when I think of this, the first person I think of is Joy Boy, right? And for Joy Boy, maybe that's not the person's actual name, but we know Joy Boy went around to the point that he was at Laugh Tale, and he left an actual treasure there that Roger reacted to. So for me, I think the only person that we can give founding to is Joy Boy. We can't even look at the world government, right? Because who would we actually give it to in the world government? Because they didn't found anything, they just took it over. So for me personally, I mean, you guys can leave your examples or how you feel about it below, but for me, I think founding is definitely Joy Boy. Expansion. This is interesting because you think about somebody who's traversed and some way expanded the One Piece verse. For me, I'm thinking of Roger, where Roger came out, he traversed the One Piece world, found Lodestar, went everywhere, and then he came out and basically started a new era of piracy, pretty much because he left his treasure behind. So when I think of founding and somebody basically starting a new era, is there anyone else we can look to other than Roger? I'm not gonna lie, when I first thought of expansion, I thought of Blackbeard because of everything that he was willing to do to gain territory and how he took over Whitebeard's territories and how he was going around taking everything for his own. But I don't think he should supersede Roger though. You guys can give me your thoughts here, Roger or Blackbeard. I think no question is Roger for me. Next, preservation. This one is interesting because I don't know. The person that I eventually thought of, I was like, okay, this is speculation, but it somewhat makes sense. And when I think of preservation, the person I think of is Shanks, right? Shanks, the person who received Roger's straw hat, for the most part has been going around trying to preserve things at least for someone else. And we know who that someone else is, from going to Whitebeard, going to the world government, stopping Kaido from going to Marineford, coming to Marineford to stop the war. Shanks, in my opinion, is the perfect candidate for someone who is trying to preserve the world the way it is and maintain that balance for as long as possible. Yes, you can look at the world government and how they're trying to maintain the balance and preserve the world for as long as possible the way it is, but there's no one person you can point to say, hey, that's the face of preservation. So, you know, you can put the world government's logo on the Mount Rushmore, but for this instance, I'm looking at Shanks, right? The last one, unification. And I think this one is pretty straightforward. The person who is going to unify the One Piece world, the person who has the ability to unify armies, allies, all of this. This is none other than Monkey D. Luffy. He is the representation of unification, bringing people together. That's what Luffy is all about. So I think, no question, undoubtedly, the person who is represented by unification or who represents unification is none other than Monkey D. Luffy. So now we got that out of the way, right? Where we're looking at the actual criteria of Mount Rushmore. Let's just go by how society typically looks at Mount Rushmore. The top four. Who are the top four characters when you think of the Mount Rushmore of One Piece? Who are these characters? So I'm gonna throw out four characters, right? And you guys can let me know below who you think. If you disagree, who are your Mount Rushmore? Or for you, what's your Mount Rushmore? The top four characters in One Piece who you think, just based on One Piece as a whole, these characters either carry the series, represent One Piece, they're the GOATs. For you, who are these characters? So for me, one, and this is in no particular order, right? One is Roger. There's no question you have to put Roger on the Mount Rushmore. He's the Pirate King. He started the Great Pirate Era, a brilliant man, a true pirate. For me, Roger is on the Mount Rushmore. Second, I have Whitebeard. Whitebeard is one of the greatest pirates of all time, somebody who not continued Roger's will, but basically held the reins to the One Piece and held things down while Roger was dead, like after Roger died. And I think Whitebeard, in regards to family and what he meant to so many pirates on the seas, bringing peace to different nations. Remember what he was doing for his hometown, the money he was funneling into there, bringing peace to Fishman Island. So Whitebeard had a major impact. Like after he passed away, there were a lot of people who started to jockey for territory and invade different places because Whitebeard's Jolly Roger no longer had the same weight, because obviously Whitebeard was dead. So Whitebeard, no question for me, is on the Mount Rushmore. Next, we have Garp. Garp, I think, deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore, arguably the greatest Marine ever. But I think once we know more about Garp, it resonates, right? Because for Garp, not only is he the most popular Marine, not only is he the hero of the Marines, but he's the hero of the people. And we know how he feels about the Celestial Dragons, but Garp is somebody that's obviously trying to change it from within. He's trying to make an impact while hating the Celestial Dragons, but understanding that you can change things from the inside and doing things his own way. When we know about the history of Garp and how he even took in someone like Ace, how he tried to raise Luffy and have them become Marines, because even though he's a D himself, he understands the impact of positive reinforcement. So for me, I mean, the history runs deep, right? Everything they did with rocks, working with Roger, even though he was a pirate, some of the moments we've seen Garp and his moral compass, and just overall greatness. No question he's on the Mount Rushmore as well. Now, the final for the Mount Rushmore, I think I went between a couple characters, and even for Garp, I thought about not putting him on and putting Doflamingo there in his spot, but I'm like, is Doflamingo a Mount Rushmore character? You could argue that. I'm not gonna lie, you can argue he deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore, but because of how quickly, not quickly, but he's pretty much out of the story already, and I went back and forth on this a lot because I'm just like, Doflamingo maybe, but the last person, no doubt, is Luffy. Luffy's the main character. Luffy is, I think, on the Mount Rushmore of anime, period, so of course he's gonna be on the Mount Rushmore of One Piece. I don't want to say Luffy carries One Piece, but Luffy and the way he is, the way he was designed, very easily describes One Piece without diving any deeper. Luffy is the physical manifestation of freedom. Everything he does is free-willed. It lacks bias. Sometimes it can be viewed as selfish, but that's freedom, right? Where you're looking at things from your perspective and how it impacts you, your personal freedom, traversing anywhere you want to traverse, not really giving a damn about consequences, rules, none of that, right? But some people say, well, rules and government and policing, that's necessary because we have to have some level of control. We have to have restrictions, or else humans, pirates, are going to roam and do whatever they want to do. And most pirates aren't like Luffy. Luffy, from the beginning of his journey, has done everything he's wanted to do. He saved the people he's wanted to save. He's gone to the islands he's wanted to go to. And so as a character, that's why even his devil fruit, it's perfect for him, being malleable, bouncing around everywhere, just doing everything free spirit, free-willed. That's why people probably hate so much the idea of Luffy being Joy Boy, the idea of Luffy being part of some prophecy, because they don't want to take away that idea of free will that Luffy presents and brings to the story of One Piece. I think, no question, Roger and Luffy deserves to be on this list. Whitebeard and Garp, I thought about them, like, I'm not sure, and ultimately I decided with them. But you guys give me your thoughts. Who deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of One Piece? Again, you can do both, based on what Mount Rushmore actually represents, or just your four goats, because some people have their personal preferences. Somebody might put Blackbeard up there, or even Doflamingo, or maybe Katakuri. I don't know, that's kind of crazy. But guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.